Hey, what's going on guys, this is 5 Large Fries, and today we're going to be talking about Fallout 76, the latest game in the Fallout series. And this one is unique because the whole game is online. It's worth noting that because I've only played for the few hours the beta was live, that I can only give you my first impressions and not a full review. So we're starting off right away with a cutscene, which if you're interested, I'll leave the entire clip at the end of this video. Once the cutscene's over, we are greeted right away with the character creation menu. And this feels very similar to Fallout 4's system, which is handy for you Fallout veterans. I spent a while here trying to create a character that looked pretty much like me, and yes, I am one of those psychos. After this, you are finally on your way to the Wastelands, guided very nicely by these cardboard pit boys. And if you think that this feels pretty obvious that you have to go that way, well, let me tell you, it's a theme that spreads most of the starting area, which can be obnoxious at times considering you have these small quest markers showing you where you have to go anyway. The game ran very smoothly on my old launch PS4. I didn't notice any major issues at all with the FPS. There were a few stutters here and there, but they felt very few and far between and didn't subtract from the overall enjoyment of the game. When I heard how the questing system works in this game, I was very put off, but after playing it for myself, I feel that it works in the game's favour in terms of the roleplay. You see, you're meant to be the first people that set foot into the Wastelands as a survivor, so you're only expected to find corpses of those unfortunate enough not to be inside a shelter, and of course the horrors of mutated animals and people. The drawback here is that all of your quests are given either by terminals, holotapes, or pieces of paper that are left around the world. While the holotape quests are very welcome, having to read everything is something that became very tedious, especially considering the short time window allotted for play in the beta. The other thing that's really interesting is on the map, there's these small white dots, and these dots indicate other players. So if you wanted to go out and hunt down another player, or go and talk to them, trade with them, you can do so by looking at the map, seeing where they are, and then going off and finding them that way. There is a base building system in this game, and you can take your base to new locations. I gave this a little go, but very quickly ran out of materials. The building system felt good though. Pieces snap to each other, which is very handy, but other than this small dilapidated mess that I made, I can't judge the system any further than that. The VAT system is, in all honesty, rubbish. I used it briefly for this video and I hated it. It's understandable that in an always online environment, and the fact that you have other players roaming about too, that they couldn't add the typical VAT system in. Instead, all you get is this auto aim with a percentage of if you will hit or not. And at this point, you're best off just doing things the old-fashioned way, as you're guaranteed to hit, if you're accurate, of course. Speaking of combat, it is very fun, but it isn't without its hitches. During my time playing, it felt like every time I took damage, my character would freeze up, and I wouldn't be able to move, which was very, very tedious, especially when I needed to back up to get a better shot on a mongrel or a mole rat that's gnawing at my ankles. I tried some melee, but in all honesty, either I was very terrible at it, or it was clunky. And to be honest, I'm going to go with the former and say that I was terrible at it. It was fun to use a hatchet or the butt of my gun, but nothing could compete with the satisfaction of using a gun. There are various different crafting stations about in the world, and of course you can create them for your base too, and these allow you to make various things like food, water, medicine, weapons and armor. I didn't really need to use any of these stations except for using them to dismantle my junk into parts for base building. Weapons and ammo felt very much in abundance, at least once you venture towards some of the ghoul-infested settlements. When adventuring, you will come across some plans, and these will enable you to unlock new crafting features like weapons and armor, but they'll also unlock new things to place in your camp as well. What I find interesting in this game is that you have the ability to trade with other players. I didn't give this a chance, however, as I was playing solo, but I'd imagine that in a group of friends that are running about together, this will be a very welcomed addition. I didn't really come across many players, and if I did, there was little to no interaction with them, as each of them had their own quest to do, which made the world feel very lonely at times. However, this guide did scare the absolute daylights out of me. I was fortunate enough not to die in this game, however the penalty for death isn't too strong. You lose your junk items, which isn't too bad. I'm not sure if other players can loot your stash or not, or if it's still bound just to you. I did run into a couple of funny bugs while playing, which is to be expected, as well as this very strange visual bug that I encountered when interacting with a crafting station. Every time you level up, you gain a point to spend in the special system, this being strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. You can then equip cards to that ability. For example, here I used the gladiator card for strength. It's worth noting each card has a level and a number up the top left. From what I gathered is that this number is the amount of slots you need in that category. For example, if I had level 3 strength, I could equip 3 level 1 cards, or a level 2 card and a level 1 card together, and so on and so on. At a certain level, I unlocked a card pack, and these gave me a bunch of cards that I could use as I leveled up. And of course, you see here, I had a level 7 card that I was unable to equip. Now, I'm unsure whether or not these are going to be earned through level progression, whether you'll be able to earn these through different ways, or if this is going to end up being a microtransaction within the game, which I kind of hope it's not, because that will make the game very pay to win. Overall, I really enjoyed my time in Fallout 76. I can't wait to continue on the next beta session, especially considering all the progress carries over to the main game, which is very unusual for a beta. That's going to be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. Why not consider subscribing, as that really helps me out. And as promised, I'll play the opening cutscene now. Take care, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.
War never changes. In 1776, this great nation accepted that armed conflict was the only way to preserve our rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. If our founding fathers could only see us now. From Antietam to Amiens, Okinawa to Anchorage, we have fought. And now, the Red Menace is at our doorstep. Democracy itself is under threat of annihilation. That is why today, July 4th, 2076, 300 years after our great nation began, we gather together to honor the completion of Vault 76. This sprawling underground shelter may have been engineered by Vault-Tec, but it was built by you, the good people of America, so that if the bombs do come, if the end does come, our way of life will endure. But not everyone will be saved. Those chosen to enter this vault must be our best and our brightest. For when the fighting is stopped and the fallout has settled, you must rebuild. Not just walls, not just buildings, but hearts and minds, and ultimately, America itself. So as we stand here today, we pray that the world will know peace, But if that is not our destiny, if war must come, we stand together knowing that here in Vault 76, our future begins.